In Garden City, we have a range of utilities. We have the water utility, the electric utility, and the wastewater utility that ultimately falls under my responsibility. On the electric side, we serve approximately 11,500 electric customers. We have generation, distribution, transmission. On the water side, we serve about 8,500 water customers. And then, of course, wastewater, we maintain about 300 miles of sanitary sewer and the wastewater treatment plant. What we used before MAPCON was kind of a homegrown internal system that was built upon by some of our previous IT people, some of the local folks here. And, you know, I suppose 20 years ago it probably worked pretty good, but as we continued to grow, we obviously outgrew that system. There was no maintenance to it. Some of the people that developed it had left the organization. So I guess the short answer would be we really didn't have much at all. We didn't have adequate control of the inventory. We didn't have last purchase price. It didn't set mins and maxes as to how much we wanted to keep in stock. It actually didn't track where the material went. That was dependent upon some other pieces of paper to figure out where it all went. And at the end of the year, with our auditors, the numbers, we couldn't show where all that material had went. And it's we have about a $3 million inventory, so I certainly understand their concern. We had visited with our auditors. Every year we do a financial audit of the city. And for 2 years prior to that, they had indicated that our numbers were wrong, or they were inaccurate, put it that way. And we needed to get a better handle on those numbers. Garden City is a growing community, and we kept bringing in more and more material for development purposes. So the value of the inventory continued to climb, and we had to get a better handle on all of that. 2 years prior to starting to use MAPCON, as I indicated earlier, our auditors brought to our attention that our inventory control was not adequate. That has changed 100%. This last audit that we just did for 2016, the auditors found no discrepancies, zero. And that was unheard of for us. So that's the big thing that's changed. The bigger thing that's changed too is we had materials in stock that hadn't turned over in years, and with the MAPCON system we were able to track those materials and find out why haven't we used those. And some of them we were able to eliminate because they were obsolete. It helped us determine what our minimums and maximums needed to be when we were close to being required to order more material. The warehouse manager gets a report that says, hey, you better order some more of these. We know how much we paid for it. We know where the vendors are. We know where it came from. It's remarkable on how much easier it makes everything. Well, I think the biggest benefit is really just total control of the inventory and management, asset management. You know, I mentioned the inventory control. There's a lot more to MAPCON than just inventory control and pricing. We have used that system in other areas such as vehicle maintenance and scheduled maintenance things on certain pieces of equipment. That's a big help as well. The single biggest reason I would recommend is, you know, running a utility, any utility is not cheap. And we're always asked to get more bang for the buck, always. And MAPCON system, used properly, will help you get those costs under control, and you know exactly where your dollars are going, and it's not wasted. The work order system that we use out of MAPCON lets us track where the work has been accomplished, where it's going on, you know, who's working where and why and how come. And so we can take all that information and determine if a new residential development is going to come into town, roughly how much we think it's going to cost to put that together, including time and material. Yeah, every year the city of Garden City, like every other city, we do a pretty in-depth audit. We have outside auditors come in and they check all the city's books, et cetera, et cetera. For 2 years in a row, the utilities department was cited that we didn't have adequate control over the cost of materials we had, nor where those materials went. We didn't have adequate records to show what we had purchased the last one for. Why was it worth $400 instead of $200 that it was 2 years ago? So we changed everything. And as a result of that, we had the auditors come over and review what we had planned to do. We had them look at the reports ahead of time to show us, this is what you're going to get next year when you come in. Is this what you want to see or not? We made a few minor adjustments. And MAPCON, the IT people at MAPCON helped us make those changes easy to help accommodate what our auditors wanted to see. And then at the end, after the 2016 audit, like I said earlier, we got a perfect score. We had no issues. All the material was accounted for. We knew how much it cost. We knew where it went, and they were very impressed. Well, I tell you how MAPCON has helped improve productivity. The warehouse arrangement that we had prior to purchasing MAPCON was actually a disaster. We had material scattered all over, and the crews spent a lot of time trying to find the material that they needed for the job. There was no specific place or location to go find it. And MAPCON explained that to us before we purchased the program, that you're going to have to change your warehouse around. They even made suggestions on how best to set that up. We followed their directions, made some of our own corrections. So one area in production is that the materials are easy to find, and they don't spend a lot of time running around looking for things. They don't spend a lot of time after hours looking for things. They know exactly where to go. But I would say for any utility or any organization for that matter, it doesn't have to be a utility. If you're looking to find a software or programs that will help you get your inventory and asset management under control, be sure and look at MAPCON. It will do exactly what you want. And it's easy and it's cost effective. That's probably a bigger thing too that I should have said earlier, but it's very cost effective. So I would tell the world to do that.
Yeah, my role with the City of Garden City is I do all the purchasing for the water division and the electric division. I purchase everything from inventory to big equipment for projects. We also do all the equipment purchasing. Bid specs, get sent out, and we get all the equipment that gets purchased through the city is ran through the warehouse here. We purchase all the safety supplies, every safety piece of equipment, tool that the water and electric need to do their job safe. We manage all the inventory in electric, which is about 1,500 parts. It's a little over $3.5 million worth of inventory. The water is quite smaller. It's about 500 parts in inventory, and they're looking at about $450,000 worth of inventory. With the MAPCON system, we utilize several different aspects of MAPCON. We do all of our purchasing that is involved goes through MAPCON. Inventory, safety, everything. Our inventory system is all MAPCON based, as far as purchasing the descriptions, the aisle shelf bin, all that stuff. We have equipment, all of our bucket trucks, big dump trucks, major equipment, and just regular pickup trucks. It's all in MAPCON. It's all set up for PM generation. It's being maintained that way. We got PMs that kick out for oil changes, just like the system's meant to be used for. MAPCON helps with our day-to-day activities by just keeping track of our work orders, especially. The guys, they do a ton of work out there in the field, whether it be setting a pole, putting a new service for a customer, street light repair, big distribution jobs. And then the water department, you got, new services, you got main breaks in the middle of the night. These guys are utilizing the software and generating their work orders so that we can look back, in 3 years and say, oh, this is a problem area over here on 3rd Street, we need to maybe look into maybe doing some upgrades. And so it helps with that, with the work order process. It helps with inventory, just inventory control. A part falls below its minimum and it dings up saying, hey, you need to reorder this part, and it's really easy. It does the job for you almost. So we maintain our inventory like that. All of our invoices are scanned into MAPCON to the exact part, and auditors are really liking that feature of MAPCON. So that's a big one for me as well. Equipment, some of the new equipment we buy, it's put into MAPCON, and we go ahead and put in there, all the greasing and maintenance, specs. It's scanned in with that piece of equipment, so you don't have to go hunting through, a ton of paperwork and just to find what you want. It's right there for you. The biggest benefit that I've received, and the city I think has received here within the utilities department, is just inventory control, organization. It's just so much more organized. Everything's where it needs to be. We know where it's at. And then also, cost savings. I mean, I think there was maybe a little overspending on things that, we really didn't maybe need. So we can look at that and we can see, hey, what do we use in 2016? Do we need to order 30 or 800 of them? Some of my favorite features that MAPCON has to offer would probably be the inventory part of it. Just the reordering. You set your minimum and maximum quantities, and you drop below that, it's popping up saying, hey, it's time to reorder some of these. So, since I've started, I don't know if there's been a time yet that we've ran out of something or didn't have enough of, in MAPCON. That's just a direct reflection of how we input the min and maxes and how it, the software it works for itself. So we divided the city up in districts. So we got 6 districts, and when we get a work order that needs to be made, it falls into a district. And then, like I said, after history, 3 or 4 years of this, we're going to see, okay, District 1 had 330 call-outs or, main breaks or issues, this year. We need to pay a little more attention to that area and maybe upgrade some piping, upgrade your overhead, lines. The biggest reason I would recommend MAPCON to others would be just control over inventory, if that's what you're wanting to use it for. I think the inventory is the best I've ever seen. You can do tons of things with the inventory part of MAPCON. Just control over your, whether it be a small business, a large business, you have control. As long as you have the right trained people using it, you can utilize it in so many different ways. There's ways that I'm not even sure of that are still out there, that we could be using. The other thing is just work orders. Setting your work orders up right, knowing where issues are happening. And another thing I haven't really touched on is the preventative maintenance PMs that generate. Setting up a $250,000 piece of equipment like it's supposed to be maintained, every 50 hours, or the first 50 hours it gets an oil change, 250 hours you grease it, and just maintaining that piece of equipment that, is worth $250,000 that took a lot to purchase, and just makes the job safer for the guys. They're not using this piddly little tool over here to do a huge job. So just the PM aspect of it and maintaining equipment. The employees of the City of Garden City are utilizing MAPCON in a few different ways. Whenever a customer calls in, whether it be for water or electric, they're calling in to our utility service center here, and the ones taking the call, they're all trained on MAPCON. They get all the information they can from that customer. phone number, name, issue, whatever it is that they're having problems with, and from there, a work order gets generated, and it gets passed down to whoever is going to fix that problem. So then that person already knows where it's at, who it is, a contact for them. They know somewhat what the problem is going to be when they get there. From there, whether it be a big or small problem, they do what they have to do. They have the hard copy work order in hand, and they're tracking all their labor, material, and anything they've done to fix that problem. From there, it gets looked over by a foreman. Job's done right, the work order gets completed. So that's one way that we're using it, with the work order kind of flow down chart. The other thing is, our water department, they're out in the field constantly, checking wells, doing daily checks that they have to check. And we have them set up on different PM schedules where different locations, pump houses, wells, generate on a daily basis. So when these guys get to work in the morning, they're already out in the field on their iPad, and they're pulling up MAPCON and they're checking these sites, and they're writing down their readings and completing it with their time. So that's another way we're using it. The other one is, main breaks in the middle of the night. They get called out at 3 in the morning, usually from the police department because a customer called in. They're having to get all the equipment out, the backhoes, the dump trucks, special tools, and equipment. They got to tear up the street. They got to fix the problem. So there they have a ton of labor, truck equipment hours, and they're going to be using some parts to fix that. That all gets documented on the work order on their iPad that they've generated because no one was here to generate it for them, right? So that's a big help, I think, for them. I mean, it's all electronic. It's all being saved and documented. We're having history, and the other part is just the warehouse, the main thing that kind of, I guess, brought MAPCON to Garden City was inventory control. All that other stuff was just kind of bonus features, I think, but yeah, the inventory control, it's a two-man job. We're looking over 2 divisions here, and just how MAPCON helps with inventory control is great. I really enjoy just picking up the phone. I give the phone number to MAPCON to all of the users here, which there's actually about 40 users here at the city that are using MAPCON. 10 of them, I'd say, on the mobile, and the rest, whether it be on their desktop here at work or wherever it may be. But yeah, it's really nice just picking up the phone, saying, hey, I have an issue with this, the getting in and remoting in on your computer, that's awesome too. I mean, because I don't have to sit there and say, hey, you want me to click on this button? They get on there and they're seeing what I'm seeing. So that's a big benefit with that support.
Okay, I use MAPCON on a daily basis to create work orders. I also use it for invoice reconciliation and to attach our invoices to each part that we order. My favorite features are, after some customization with MAPCON, we're able to easily create work orders for our crew and easily process those. The advice I would give someone in a similar position as myself who's interested in MAPCON is in the beginning, there's a lot of work to get it set up, but after it's set up, it's very user-friendly. And after using it a little over a year now, I can see how we can pull reports easily and how we have a lot of data to fall back on at this point.
My daily duties are to work with the line crew and line them out on what jobs we need to get done and accomplished. Type out their job orders for the day so that when they come in, they can write down what material they've taken out of the warehouse or out of the yard, so that way it can be properly inventoried and taken out of inventory. The line crew takes care of all the power lines, whether it's overhead or underground throughout the city limits. I use it on a daily basis by using making the job orders, making sure everything's been checked out correctly on it, so I can turn it into the warehouse manager. And if they run across questions on it, if something was checked out or part numbers are incorrect, I can go through and help them verify which ones were taken and which jobs they were taken at. The line crew, they depend on us. If I'm out on the job site and we run across something where I'm going to need some parts, I can go on the app and I can look at the inventory and see if I have the part that I'm wanting in stock, or if it's something that I'm going to have the warehouse people order and make sure it gets in here in a timely manner for me. And then if there's an accident or something, I can always look on the mobile app and give the police department an estimate on how much a part is going to cost that I'm going to have to replace. The biggest advantage is it really keeps your inventory straight. You don't have to second guess everything. Everything gets wrote down and entered in. And if you have to look back and see where you use something, everything's right there, so you can look back and find out where your material is going to. If I do a report every month on what type of jobs we've done, so I can go to Tyler and ask him to print it out, and it's able to break it down for me, so I can just go through his report and look at it. But it's a really nice application to use.
I answer the phone, direct phone calls. We track how much water the city's used. We create job orders, send our guys out on water main breaks, water leaks, low pressure calls, things like that. For me, I use MAPCON. We track where the trouble calls come from. We use it to track our inventory. My favorite parts on MAPCON are the inventory. The way they track it, it's really helped our system and helped the department out. I think someone should use MAPCON if they're having problems with inventory tracking. We were, when we first moved in together, having a problem with where the parts were going. When we got MAPCON, our audits were fantastic. The way that it tracks inventory in and out, how much each piece is really great.
Daily duties I work on are mainly design of new system, making sure that load calculations are done properly. We also have old system that has to be redesigned because maybe we're overloading a transformer in a certain area. We do a lot of rebuilding of our underground system, so there's a lot of redesign for that. Also take care of managing the substations in our Jameson Energy Center, where we generate our power whenever need be. Why another entity or any other city would go with MAPCON is from what we used to use in keeping our inventory to what MAPCON has been able to do for us now. The input of what you order, purchase ordering, what is inventoried at that time or by a account, you don't have to worry about going in and adjusting your accounts. You enter in what you have in stock, it will automatically adjust that for you. What you receive in stock and you enter in, it will automatically adjust that. And then what you take out and put in to repairs or anything in the system itself, it takes care of what, as long as the work orders are filled out properly, that information will then be taken care of for, excuse me, for you automatically. I always look to see what outages we've had from the day prior or even weeks prior, so that I can see. We have to do a reliability study on our system, and I can use what has been done overnight or after hours by the crews and see exactly what they've done. I go look into our AMI system with the meter number or address location, and I'm able to then see how long that meter was out. We just started a program, it's called E-Reliability Software, through the American Public Power Association, and it allows us to keep track of our reliability and know where our weak points are within the system and make improvements to improve the system in those locations.